There's been scathing criticism from Republicans of Barack Obama's budget plan to rein in the ballooning US deficit. The US president is promising to cut $1 trillion over the next decade, but he's been accused of not doing enough and abdicating his leadership. Washington correspondent Craig McMurtry reports even some Democrats are unimpressed.
Handshakes in a classroom. But his budget plan received a frigid reception on Capitol Hill. Republicans called it a failure of leadership.
And so what did we just get today? We got a punt. The president punted on the budget, and he punted on the deficit and on the debt. That's not leadership. That's an abdication of leadership.
All that went down there was actually
you guys see that? That's nasty.
Barack Obama chose a science class at a middle school to highlight his plan to balance cuts with targeted spending in research and education. But his budget blueprint still leaves a record deficit this year of over $1.6 trillion, one that represents nearly 11% of GDP, the largest since World War II. The White House is promising to carve into the deficit next year, creating what it calls a sustainable path.
When I was sworn in as president, I pledged to cut the deficit in half by the end of my first term. The budget I'm proposing today meets that pledge and puts us on a path to pay for what we spend by the middle of the decade.
To do it, the White House budget plan relies on achieving US growth of better than 4% by the end of next year to boost tax revenue, and cuts, including removing tax breaks for oil, gas and coal companies, allowing tax cuts for high earners to expire, cutting more than 200 federal programs and freezing discretionary spending for 5 years.
Because of our budget, this share of spending will be at its lowest level since Dwight Eisenhower was president.
But the bulk of the US federal budget survives largely unscathed, including big-ticket spending on Social Security and defence. And the president has all but ignored the findings of his own bipartisan commission on debt, which called for cuts 4 times as deep.
So what we've done here is make a down payment. But there's going to be more work that needs to be done, and it's going to require Democrats and Republicans coming together to make it happen.
A rapturous welcome in the Assembly Hall was hardly matched in Congress, where even some Democrats are underwhelmed, warning that $1 trillion in savings over the next decade just isn't enough. Republicans are savaging the president.
The trajectory of this budget is in the wrong direction. It would be better if we did nothing than actually pass this budget. And so when you see our leader, the President of the United States, seeing this, knowing it, acknowledging it, and ducking it, that is why we're so disappointed today.
This is just the beginning. The president's budget plan is certain to be picked apart in Congress over the coming weeks. But Republicans are resisting calls to present their own ideas, saying their budget blueprint won't be ready until April.
There's no serious tackling of the really big pieces that are driving this, either on the Republican side or on the Democratic side.
Instead, the parties are in a rush to box each other in on an issue that's expected to define much of the US political year. Republicans and Democrats argue that job creation is their #1 priority. And on that front, the White House is predicting only a modest drop in unemployment, down from 9% now to 8.2% when Barack Obama seeks re-election in 2012. Craig McMurtry, Lateline.